There are a few live tournaments just around the corner. We have Alabama State on November 5th and 6th, the North Carolina Combined Tournament on November 12th and 13th, and the U.S. National, which will be held in Tulsa, Oklahoma on November 29th through December 2nd. I'll be providing links in the description for the additional information about each of these tournaments. I've also had some personal requests to walk through some of my own tournament games and to provide context around both the moves and my thoughts. Tournament checkers can be an exhilarating experience. The pressure can be high, but it can also be a lot of fun, win, lose, or draw. I've created a list of my top 5 tournament games, and it wasn't easy, but let's get started. The first game on this list is also the most recent. I was honored to be on the US team, and this game marks my international debut. I had played against my opponent Claudio Ciampi in the early 2000s at vodclub.com, and I knew he was a really good player. So, in a way, I looked at this game as just how much have I improved in the last 20 years. So, the opening we balloted was 10-14, 24-20, and 6-10. I was also very glad because this is one of my favorite openings. So I play the direct attack with 22-18. Claudio plays 11-15 exchange, which is best. And then I'm going to start developing out of my double corner with 28-24. Now, Claudio plays 4-8, which is an anti-positional move, with 1-6 being best. So after 4-8 is played, I'm going to gain a tempo with this 23-19 bind. Claudio continues with 8-11. I go 25-22, and then he actually plays this losing 9-13 move. I've actually been in this situation before with my opponents also playing this very natural move. And in studying this, 29-25 is typically the proper follow-up, but I've actually found that 27-23 is actually a little bit stronger in completing the win. Claudio then plays 5-9. I then go 29-25, 1-5, 31-27, and then he plays the 14-17 double exchange. Capturing 19-10 and 7-14. And then I'm going to bind these pieces here with 25-21. After 3-7, I'm now going to release the bind and go a piece up with 22-18. Taking this capture first. And then after 2-6, looking to capture this piece, but even if 6-9 or 6-10 is played, I have this 32-28 move, the 2 for 1, and Claudio actually resigned at this point in the game. So I was very fortunate to win, and I was very happy about this particular game. You may recognize the name of my opponent in this next game. He is the father of Alex Holmes, as you all know from this channel. My games against Michael are always interesting. There is never a dull moment. Michael tends to play a more aggressive style, and the best way I've found to play against that is to play aggressive yourself. Passive moves just won't work. In this game, we get a fairly tame enough opening, the classic Dundee, but as you'll see, this game is anything but tame. So Michael continues with the traditional developments here. This is all very standard play. And at this point, I'm thinking, well, maybe we will play a classic line in this opening, but nope, that doesn't happen. After I play 6-10, which is again the proper follow-up, Michael plays this move, which is a very good move, not traditionally seen in published play, but a good move nonetheless. And then taking the 2 for 2. I had been through this before and found that 10-15 is typically the best defense. And then Michael plays this 22-17 exchange. And after this move, we begin a direct assault on each other's double corners. And the way it played out is just incredibly fascinating to me. So I'm going to start developing out of my single corner and attacking his double corner, and he's going to do the same against my double corner. Placing an invading piece in his double corner, and then playing another piece here to be even more aggressive. Exchanging off here to continue to invade his double corner. This is such an interesting position. Even at the time in this game, I was fascinated by this. So finally, he's going to try to pin some of my pieces here. Again, just waiting moves here. All these are just waiting moves. And finally, with this piece now off 18, the idea here is just to exchange out of the double corners. And we actually called it a draw at this point. But as you can see, one continuation would be this 14-10. And then I can exchange off here with this backstop piece now. He can then exchange into my double corner. And then again, I can simplify matters by continuing to exchange. So even though we called it a draw several moves back, this is the continuation that we both saw. And what a very, very interesting game. John Webster is one of my favorite opponents. When I think of a solid masterclass level player, John is one of the first names that comes to my mind. He is very well versed in published play, is an incredible defender, and rarely loses. We've competed against each other many times, and our games are like putting together one giant puzzle piece with every move having a correct time and place. So the opening we balloted was 9-13, 24-20, and 10-15. John develops 28-24, and I develop 5-9. I was expecting 23-18 to be played, but this 23-19 is also a good alternative line. I cover up with 6-10, and he proceeds with the development with 26-23. I follow up with 1-5, 30-26, and now I can play 9-14, expecting the break, which John does do, with 22-17. John can also play 29-25 at this point, but he plays this 26-22, which I can simplify matters with 14-18. jumping 19-10 first. And then 31-22. I'm going to continue to simplify the game by exchanging off with 14-18. And he does the same with 27-23. And then I play 3-7, 217, and we called it a draw at this point. This game is also from the Tinsley-Chinook 1992 London match, Game 38. Just a wonderful draw. It's always a fun experience to play a world champion, and I've had that honor dozens of times in tournament play. Alex Moiseev is a great champion, and my approach to playing him is always to just play sound checkers, stay on published play lines, and to keep the draw in sight. It's a lot easier said than done, but I felt confident when we balloted this opening. This is one of the more technical openings on the board, and there are two key variations to master. Alex counters 25-22, and then I reply the more restrictive 11-15. After 29-25 and 1-6, which is the proper development here, I was expecting Alex to play this 24-20, which he had had a lot of success with in World Championship matches and in just his games overall. After the game, I asked him why he didn't play this 24-20, and he said that everyone knows it now. And instead, he played this very direct and also very strong variation with 23-18 with the 2-for-2. I was familiar with both, but actually probably more familiar with this line of play because every single move is precise and necessary. Many key star moves for red to make to survive. So after the 2-for-2, white is going to start developing out of the single corner, and I'm going to do the same. I'm going to hold back 19 here. Alex begins the bind on my single corner, and I'm going to develop 3-7, and he's going to continue the bind with 28-24. I play 9-14 to release the piece on 18. After 26-23, 10-15, again, Alex goes 32-28. Now these next moves are just part of the key drawing sequence here. They're waiting moves. 7-10, 31-26, 6-9, 30-25, and 2-6. I felt very comfortable at this point as I've been through this line a number of times. Alex then exchanges off 24-19. And now I can release the bind by going 11-15. Alex plays 23-19 to pin any sort of development here from my end. And 9-13 is the typical published play move here. But I go 24-27. Tinsley played this move against Chinook in their final match in Boston. And it's a little bit more of an uphill climb, but it is sound and it will draw. Alex goes 26-23, and I crown. And now he can make an inroad toward the king row. I cannot press with my king here because he has the piece on 22. So I'm just going to go back and forth in the double corner for a little bit here. Alex goes 22-18. Again, back and forth. Alex gets a crown at this point. I bring my king out now to 27. Alex starts to bring his king out. I go on to this square now. Alex goes 25-22. And now I really can't do a whole lot of anything, so I have to go back. And that's just what I'm going to do for the next several moves, just back and forth here. Now instead of going back, I now realize, okay, well, the king is over here. I can take this 2 for 2. Alex gets another king, and I take the 2 for 2 with my king. Alex presses the piece, and we played it for several more moves. What happens is I end up getting 2 kings in his single corner. He gets 3 kings, but he can't make any inroads here, and he can't further develop this piece. So the game is a draw at this point. We ultimately did call it a draw, as no inroads could be made here for white. And it's one of my favorite games I played against Alex, especially from a technical perspective. Finally, we have to go back over 17 years for my favorite tournament game. This game is my favorite for a few reasons. It was my first win against a legitimate masterclass player. It allowed me to finish 3rd place in the Illinois State Championship, and it was a solid follow-up after winning the Tennessee Majors the month before. The opening we balloted was 11-15, 23-18, and 15-19, the Montrose Cross. Alex Moiseyev's cook was known at this time, but many players, including Albert, were still playing the traditional 12-16 defense. So, after the opening was balloted, all very standard here. And then Albert plays, again, the more traditional 12-16 defense. At this point, Albert plays this very aggressive 19-23 move. I was not expecting this, but it was played. And I counter it by going 31-27. Albert plays 3-7, and then I go 17-13 to prevent 9-14 from being played here. So putting pressure on the double corner. Now the next moves, Albert's going to develop out of his single corner to try to break my bridge, and I'm also going to develop out of my single corner to continue to put pressure on his double corner. So 12-16, 16-19, again, just developing out of our respective single corners. And now at this point, instead of continuing to go 24-20, I break with 15-10. And then preventing a further break, which my intention is to go 15-10 next. Again, Albert goes 6-10 with the double exchange. I'm going to start developing 28-24. And then after 16-20, this 24-19 is probably strong enough to win, but instead I play 22-17 thinking I can get behind his pieces, and he's going to have a hard time even with this bridge. But this move does let him off the hook a little bit. He then crowns under the bridge. And then allows the exchange to happen by bringing his king out of the bridge. and now I'm going to get a king. This is a key position to remember, and we'll actually go back here. Albert plays the losing 10-15 move. 26-22 will draw, and I'll talk about how that will draw shortly here, but he plays 10-15. I'm going to follow up. He's going to go back into the king row. I'm going to fork these two pieces. He brings up 14-18, and then after the 2 for 1, the timing is just not quite there for Albert, as I have this key waiting move, 32-27, which the king has to move here now, and it can no longer hold these two pieces. So we played it for a few more moves. Albert goes in here, but after 21-17, the game is a win, and it's still my favorite tournament game to this date. So let's go back to that position, though, that I talked about before, where the draw was in hand. So instead of the losing 10-15 move, Albert can play this 26-22 move. And then if I continue to press here, there's a really pretty tactical play on the board. Red can play this pitch first, and then if I decide to jump this way, Red has another pitch. So it doesn't matter which route White takes here, it all results in the same. If I decide to make this pitch first, then Red can bring his king out after this capture, and then we have the really pretty triple jump, but it's still a draw because White has the move in hand. So even if we play this out a little bit here, you can see it's just a solid draw. So that's my top 5. Again, it wasn't easy to compile such a short list, but I'm happy to share more games from my tournament history if there's continued interest. Hopefully some of you will be able to attend one of the upcoming tournaments, and you can share your games from those experiences. Thanks, as always, for watching.